even if they do not go on to repeat the feat against Argentina, I honestly feel that listen, they've done something great for their country because Argentina coming into the game where one of the favorites, if not the favorites, to lift the trophy. 34 games unbeaten. The saddest thing is that it ended at the hands
36
36. It ended at the hands
of
of
Saudi Arabia.
Saudi Arabia and 15 games not conceding a single goal. Before they came into this game, their last 5 games they had won all and scored 15 goals, scoring at least 3 goals in the 5 games
To
that
be
they
fair
played.
to Argentina, they scored how many? They scored 3 goals today, but all of them were ruled out marginally for
Well,
offside. So
for offside,
if you want to do an aggregate score, let's just say it could have been 4-2,
but you
but
see, hey, against a team that in their last 5 games, ironically, they've lost two, drawn two, and won just one. And even that one that they won, it was just by a lone goal. So in their last 5 games, they've scored just one, and they put two, against Argentina. It was surprising day for me. I don't know what you think.
Percy, I want to look at it from this perspective. Saudi Arabia beating Argentina or Argentina losing their 36 game unbeaten run. Which one was more outstanding? Argentina losing or Saudi Arabia beating Argentina?
For this one, it's not something that is even debatable because they are not even having the longest unbeaten streak.
They would have equaled Italy's record.
Of course. But to think that Argentina has, for the second time, set a record which is not really a good thing for them. 1990 they did a similar thing.
Yeah.
A lowly team like Cameroon, nobody really even touted them to even do anything. And they were coming as defending champions with, again, arguably the greatest player ever in Maradona. And by then, to Napoli too was on form. So they came in with the best of the best, only for their goalkeeper to just gift such a very, very funny goal. And for today's game, watching them, Saudi Arabia, I had a friend who I just went to the workplace. I saw him and the guy was shouting that Charlie, today, dear, what he had betted an amount I don't want to mention. He even went for first half win. And
Saudi Arabia first half.
He went for a first half win for I'm coming. He went for a first half win for Argentina. But later he said no. Looking at the game, the odds are more for goals. So he went for over 1.5. That at least that is
half.
Very good.
There'll be 2 goals.
So he went to class to go and teach.
And he won two as well.
That guy will be
only to come back to realize that Argentina could only score one and Saudi Arabia.
Okay, so over 1.5 for Argentina.
Yes, because he
okay.
said, a win for Argentina was too small. The odds were too small. He stood. We had a small forward. He stood in front of the phone, and he was just short of where he didn't really know what to say, and he was like, on Betty, they would equalize and blah blah blah. And watching the game, the funny thing is that Saudi Arabia did not come into the game for a draw. They did not even, you see, on a normal circumstance, a team that is coming against Argentina will probably decide maybe a 3-4-3 so that maybe they have a 5 back or maybe a 5-3-2. They set up in a 4-3-3 formation. 3 attackers. Even Argentina came with 2 attackers and played a 4-4-2. So this is where you realize that coaches play games. It is not all the time that we think of players. Coaches play games. And you realize that Scaloni was totally outclassed, out-masterminded by Heavy Ronaldo. We thought Heavy Ronaldo was a local champion for Africa. But with whatever the guy did, I don't really know what he told them. Probably he told them that maybe they could probably be the next people to maybe win Ballon d'Or in the team or what. But watching them and the way they played, and the one thing that makes the win also very exciting is that they came from a goal down. And the possibility of a Taro Martinez ruled out goal. So where was the mentality from? Where was the encouragement from?
It was actually the first time Argentina since 1930 they had taken the lead.
Of course, against Uruguay
at the World Cup, and then they've lost the game. But on the bit of Hervé Renard, if you look at Saudi Arabia in the 2018 World Cup, in the last 3 months to the 2018 World Cup, they changed coaches 3 times.
Of course,
they went into that tournament practically an average a month and a new coach, a month and a new coach. But after that disastrous campaign, they saw the need to find some consistency. Hervé Renard was brought in. He's been with this team for 4 good years.
Yeah.
He's managed to have his imprint on this team. And Hervé Renard has always cut for himself the persona. Wherever he goes, he wants his team to play a particular brand of football.
Yeah.
Throwback to Zambia 2012. They were an
Obviously.
excellent side. They were a delight to watch. Ivory Coast in 2015 at the African Cup of Nations, they announced themselves in style. So for many who have followed Heavy Renard, this wouldn't have come as a surprise to you. Maybe the extra spice would have had to be the fact that you wouldn't have given them a dog chance
Yeah, of course.
to beat Argentina, who on a 36 game unbeaten run. And practically you'd have said this was the last thing you'd ever had thought of.
This is what makes us love football. This is football. This is World Cup. This is something that makes us go. I don't want to compare it to other sports, but the surprise that comes into football, you go into the game and we are like Greece. You go into the tournament and like we've ruled them out. They might not have the best of a coach. They might not have the best of players. But like you always say, the universe will just align for them.
Practically you did today.
And you see, I'm a bit baffled by maybe, but if you followed Javier Renard throughout his coaching career, you realize that he's somebody who loves functionality over the aesthetics.
Yeah,
He did that with Zambia. He
Ivory
did that
Coast.
with Ivory Coast. He even did that with Morocco. There was a reason why Morocco could not progress in the AFCON because when they were coming to the AFCON, they were one of the best teams in Africa. But because he stuck to functionality, some of the players felt that it stifled the create because they had a lot of players who were blessed with, they were very aesthetic in their approach. But Javier Renard has always stuck to functionality. That Ivorian team that won the AFCON, they were blessed with talent, but in that tournament, they were very effective and functional. And it's testament to what he did with this Saudi Arabian team. Listen, I watched a video, I think I was showing it to our own Kofi Mensah off air, where in the dressing room, and if you listen to one of the players, he said he told them that they should go out there and if they have to eat the grass for their country, they should eat the grass for their country. And if you watch the video, he was practically telling them that break down the Argentines. And if you saw the game, at the blast of the whistle, they came up with a simple approach. Stop the Argentines from playing their usual passing game. Because right from the get-go, they were very hard, very aggressive on the Argentines, trying to, in the middle, very strong. And I was a bit surprised the aggressive nature they approached the game. And you see, for a team like Saudi Arabia, I was so surprised that they pressed with blocks of two. The first press was a high press, the second press was a mid press, and they started pressing right from the front with the attacking three, then in the middle of the park with a midfield of three, then in defense with another pressing block of two with a high line. The reason why they caught the Argentines on countless occasions, if you look at the game, Argentina had 10 offside, just opposed that to Saudi Arabia of just one offside.
Guess how many offsides they had at the 2018 World Cup?
How many?
They had just 6.
Just 6
in all of the
in
games they
all
played.
the games,
and
in
just
one game
today.
10 because they played to a pattern. Like I was saying, two pressing blocks. Then even in defense, they had another block with a high line. So if you check, they always make sure that they kept the Argentine attackers behind their high line. And my disappointment was that for a player of the quality of Lautaro Martinez and the Argentine attackers, listen, when teams play the high line, literally what they are trying to tell you is that we know you are going to possess the ball. We know you are going to pick moment to break the line passes. So we play a high line where when you are trying to pick a pass, we'll deceive you with that high line. Yeah. I was of the view that these guys have played at the highest level. So watch the line with your movement. Watch the line with your movement. And in all the times that the goals that Argentina scored, in all the times that they were caught in that high line, they were not watching. My disappointment was the Lautaro Martinez first goal, the one that Lionel Messi literally had to pull out. I felt that, well, though the technology told us that it was offside, which I think that it was clear, but that was a bit too harsh. But I think clearly it tells you the way the Saudi Arabia is set up. They knew what they wanted to do for this game. We need to give Javier Renard, his due. Listen, this is a manager, I keep saying, he goes for functionality instead of the aesthetics. He gets the best out of his teams. And for Ghana, it's a loss for Ghana because we had the opportunity to sign him and we didn't sign him.
Exactly.
But yes, he went to Syria because of the money, but he's done the job and it was evident on the day. Scaloni, on the other hand, I felt that even with the starting line, immediately I saw his back four. I was a bit disappointed because I was wondering why he played Nicolas Tagliafico ahead of Marcus Acuna. I was wondering why he played Romero ahead of
Lisandro Martinez.
Alessandro
Keep
Martinez.
Dybala on the bench.
Because for Dybala he's injured.
Okay.
He's gradually warming his way, so it's understandable.
Okay.
Now, Otamendi is aging. He's not. He'll get caught out for pace. Now you have somebody like Lisandro Martinez, who is very strong, is very quick. Why do you play two players of similar ilk? They all have issues with pace. Look at the first goal.
Yeah.
Romero was simply not fast enough. It was Lisandro Martinez. If it was him, he would have at least outrun the guy. I mean, because of how aggressive he is. So I felt that he made those changes late. I do not know. Maybe there were injury concerns ahead of the game. I don't know the insight to it, but I think that let's not read too much into how Saudi Arabia stifled Argentina. It was not what Argentina failed to do. It was more of what Saudi Arabia did to Argentina, because they literally stifled them. They stopped them from playing their usual game. And hats off to Saudi Arabia for an incredible performance today. Listen, Argentina fans should not be disappointed. Spain came from the backdrop of 2008, being European champions, walked into 2010. At the time, lost their first game against Switzerland. They went on, didn't lose a game to win the cup. Argentina is also coming from the backdrop of being South American
they
champions.
Lost only 1-0. This is 2-1.
South American champions. They're all goal in one. South American champions. They've lost their first game. If you believe in the universe, so possibly the universe might align for Argentina and they'll go ahead to win the
The
game.
last time Argentina lost their opening game, which was at the 1990 World Cup,
Yeah.
they went all the way to the final, but lost that
but
final.
lost.
If you look at Saudi Arabia,
Yeah.
prior to today's victory, they had lost 9 of their last 12 World Cup games. They had lost 9. So it tells you the magnitude, it tells you the side, they had been low in confidence. And this is not a side that is known for victories.
Exactly.
Today was just the last World Cup victory they had was their final game in 2018
In
against
2018.
Egypt. And then they go on to do, the last time they won back-to-back World Cup games, they went all the way to the round of 16. That probability smiles at
So
them.
it's all about we are dealing with probability here.
To them, I'm sure they'll be salivating at what happened between Mexico and Poland, because they both drew. Now, though it favors Argentina as well, because they know that we are not too far off. If we pick up a win against any of the two teams who play next, we are there. For Saudi Arabia, just a point for us, and we are through. So I'm very certain that I'm very certain that for me, this group will be an interesting group. I watched the Mexicans against the Polish side, and they are also a very pretty good side. They are very aggressive, they know what they are doing. They are very quick and all. It will be an interesting game. But the talk today has been about Argentina and their loss and all of that. But Dave, I don't know about you. Before probably we'll switch on to talk about other issues in relation to that group. How do you expect Argentina to take this defeat?
This will be a hard pill to take. One, because it was the unlikely situation they had ever thought of, and it puts them in a precarious position in wanting to achieve their tournament teams. From the start, everybody had pitted Argentina as favorite. People thought they could go all the way to the final. They are still the favorites, even though their odds have dropped according to stats. Prior to the tournament, they were second, ranked behind Brazil. But after today, they've dropped to 7th in Opta's predictor. And so it tells you how much they've lost ground. And that's also because of the fact that they face tough games in the last set of games they would have to play. They play against Mexico, they play against Poland. Ordinarily, you would have expected Argentina to pick up the 3 points and then go struggle it out with either of Mexico or Poland. But now they have the daunting task of having to beat Poland, having to beat Mexico if they want to get anything out of this group. And that makes the job even much more difficult. But in Argentina, they've got a player in the ilk of Lionel Messi who has often stood up to the occasion when it matters most. But today he was absent, and I think he's got to be that voice in the dressing room that would give them a new sigh of belief. He's got to reignite that belief, got to give them a sense of reasoning that we can do this, because it will be disastrous if Argentina fail to make it out of the group stage?
It will be very disastrous, especially
I don't.
this being his last dance.
Of course, so we are really expecting a lot, and it's more like for everything that has happened, we don't. Although the coach, we can blame him for that, but it's like every blame and everything is shifted on Lionel Messi, and this is where if they are not really careful, they are not really careful. Whatever they have stuck to in training, whatever they have stuck to in the dressing room will change. Now they would be forced. We need a win. They might probably have to abrogate everything defensively, everything midfield wise, and they will have to think of attack because the next game they are thinking that probably in the next 20, 30 minutes, at least we should get a goal, one or two. And that is where if they don't stick, you see the difference between what happened now and that of Spain was that when Spain lost the first game, nothing changed. Their next game, they stuck with the same system, same formation.
Argentina could do likewise.
But 2018, they had a similar problem when they had Jose Sampaoli in the what you call it, the helm of affairs. When they drew the first match versus Croatia, the second match, he had to augment almost the whole squad.
That's the reason why I did not, you know, I beg to differ with the fact that they need to change the defense. I don't think
everything has to be maintained.
I don't think they should do so. Listen, this Argentine team is stuck with quality. You look at even the players on the bench. He had the luxury of putting Marcos Acuna on the bench. He has the luxury of putting Julian Alvarez on the bench. There's even Paulo Dybala on the bench. Hopefully, I'm sure in the next coming days he'll be very fit. So it's stuck with quality. In the middle of the park, quality. There's it's not a fluke that he had gone 36 games unbeaten, and he wasn't playing minus. He was playing top-notch opposition across Europe and in South America. This team is very, very good. I keep telling people that this is one of those things that happen in football. You could have the shocks. I mean, this David and Goliath scenario happens in football. This is not the first time it's happened in the World Cup. All that they need to do, like you said, they need to keep a cool head. And I'm sure Scaloni will speak to them. Guys, keep a cool head. We are a very good side. We can beat any of the teams in this group. Take it as one of the blips that happens. They can take a lot of motivation from the previous World Cup campaigns and all of that. And hopefully, when they come up against Mexico, when they come up against Poland, they will just pick up the win and take it one game at a time. The Saudi Arabians walked into this game with a game plan, which literally, I think it shook the Argentines. And by the time they realized, it was too late because even the way the goals came, they are too short on target. That was the only opportunity for them to get the goals. Argentina had 10 shots on target. Crazy. But how many goals? Just one. And even it came from a spot kick. So for me, I do not want to see a lot change. I feel they should stick to their style of play. The only thing that probably might want to change is that they should bring in more attacking players. Either a Paulo Dybala or Julian Alvarez should start so that Lionel Messi will take up that playmaking role, get that free role on the pitch and do whatever he likes. Whilst maybe Di Maria will be on the left, Paulo Dybala will be on the right. Whilst Julian Alvarez plays centrally. Lionel Messi could play that what Manchester United have been doing of late, play that double number 10, and let's see what happens. But I think that Argentines will be good to go.
But on a day where Asia got their first points, Africa also did same.
Oh yeah.
They finally got their and Tunisia kept their first clean sheet at a World Cup since 1976.
Very excited for
Africa.
After Senegal failed to do the continent proud, I was very much impressed with the output of Tunisia today. They took Denmark by the bull, and it was just a moment of fine margins. If Issam Jebali had converted that opportunity he had.
Listen,
that was it.
I watched the Tunisians this afternoon and I was so impressed. And let me apologize.
Exactly.
Because
you've got to be served with a humble
we did not give Tunisia and Morocco a dog chance to. We actually thought that the West African countries will carry, though it's early, it's very early. The West African countries will carry us through the group stages and possibly to the quarterfinals, the semis, and even the finals. But I watched Tunisia play, and this is a side that has been well drilled. Listen, the likes of Insakni. Good old Insakni. This is a player who has been in the team for more than 10 years, but his experience came to bear. They are a well organized side, and they could have beaten the Danes if they had taken their
Of
chances.
course.
It was a game of open chances. The Danes also had their chance. The Tunisians also had their chance. But I think that the Tunisians were brilliant on the day. That's why I told you that. Listen, I've watched this World Cup. Teams that go with that defeatist mindset, they get more, they get beaten. If you watch the teams that seemingly are underdog, they have never come into games with defeatist mindset. Look at Saudi Arabia. Look at Tunisia. Tunisia could have said Denmark are one of the dark horses. You actually tipped
Yeah,
them
I,
to
I
win
tipped them to win.
the tournament. But listen, they came up against one of the best teams, throughout the qualifiers, and they did not look intimidated in any way. They came into the game thinking that we can take these guys on. This is how I expect the African teams to play all the games. Morocco should walk into their group thinking that we can take anybody on. We don't have to be afraid, because if you walk into a game with that timid approach, let's be a bit defensive, let's try and pick our moment low. Tell the opponent that, listen, we also came to play. This is the biggest stage of world football. It goes to Cameroon, it goes to Ghana on Thursday, it goes to the other African countries. I simply, love Tunisia today. I don't know about you, Percy.
Now, watching Tunisia, I was actually surprised when Wabi Kazri did not even start as a star man. They did a similar thing to Ghana during the 2019 AFCON. They started Wabi Kazri from the bench, and he came off from the bench. So I thought maybe because of his age, they would want to start him, but he's a star man. But yet, this is a unit. This is a well-oiled machine that met them. They didn't really give respect to Denmark, and I think, like you said, I think this is the exact thing that all the African teams should do.
Exactly.
It was a boot for boot. It was a ding dong affair. It was like the Danes were playing like they were playing any other team that's on form in Europe. Watching them, they could fly as many balls in. The defense was solid. Ericsson did his best. He did his best, but the chances that were created were not even realistic chances that you could really make something out of. It seems if the Tunisians had, like you said, had the mentality that we could beat them and taking their chances within the course of the game, we could have been talking about something different right now.
Yeah.
So Senegal started the game and they really brought our hearts down. Well, okay, this is the same old Africa.
No, say
deja
Senegal,
vu.
say Mendy. Mendy disappointed
This
us.
is Africa deja vu. But then Tunisia has really changed everything. You see, this narrative changes everything for Africa.
Yeah.
Like you said, now football is no longer played only in Europe or in South America, because these very players play with the same players in Europe. They play Champions League. They play Copa America. They are Copa Libertadores. They play everything. So it's just like playing their mate. It's nothing new. It is not just the mentality of, okay, it's Brazil, it's the name Brazil, but you still play with them in the league and in the Champions League. So if the narrative changes, we change our mentality, we change the mindset. And for instance, let's Ghana meet Portugal. But then you play in the Premier League.
You play with these guys.
You
in
play Arsenal.
in the best of leagues.
You met Liverpool
So
and you
now,
dismantled.
gradually, you guys are feeding into my narrative that it will not take long for an African team to win.
But
to
the
win
universe,
World Cup
like David said,
because gradually
has something to do.
we are closing the gap in terms of quality of players, in terms of performance. Like you said, if we're able to break that mental barrier, if we're able to break the coaching barrier, which is very,
Very, very important. Because
Africa has
Javi Renard
no
has
reason
really
not to
shown the
make
way.
the
Let's
World
get
Cup.
close to our viewers
Yes.
as well and take a couple of their thoughts. This one from Justice Kobianan. He's giving shout outs to Percy. Justice Kobianan, we see you there. PK Justice says, this coach is unique. He deserves a statue in Africa. I couldn't agree any less.
Javi Renard is
Javi
unique.
Renard deserves a
He's very
statue
unique
there.
guy.
This one from Richard Cyrus Udum says, I was so impressed with the way Javi Renard organized his boys to stay compact and maintain their composure throughout the
As a fitness coach, that's very true. And even when we were looking for a coach before CK Akono came, he actually applied for the job.
Yeah.
But the politics of Ghana football and the GFA,
we
they
missed out on
decided
the game.
not-
We could have been
that,
celebrating.
that was when Morocco appointed him. Then after Morocco also felt that
He was still free.
Morocco also felt that, well, you didn't perform well in the AFCON. When he had built that Moroccan team that had gone through the qualifiers without a single defeat.
He actually
And
left.
at the time,
So it was more like a mutual thing.
Morocco, no, because they said he didn't perform well he had to leave. Then Saudi Arabia saw that, hey, this man is a very good manager. Let's snap him up.
So And this one from BK Justice says the two Sokoto goats are trending. I guess we all know
Ronaldo and Messi.
All
we're
for the
not
bad reasons
all
today.
for the bad reasons today. But going forward, Tunisia have games against France and Australia
Yep,
to
yep,
look forward
yep,
to.
yep, yep, yep.
Given the performance we witnessed today, could they go on and fly the flag of Africa high?
Oh yeah, they could. Then you see, the beautiful thing is that the draw favors Tunisia because their next game, arguably, is against the the third weakest team because based on FIFA rankings, Tunisia were the weakest team, followed by Australia, then what is it called, Denmark, then France. If you look at what is it called, their next game is against Australia. They could easily beat Australia. And if they beat Australia, depending on the dynamics of the group, Tunisia are through. So for me, they shouldn't change anything. If what they did stifle the Danish team, took the game to the Danish team, created enough chances. I don't think the Australians have, the same level of quality the Danish team has, to the extent that if these Tunisian sides keep their cool head, stick to their game plan, they cannot beat the Australians. I may have to eat my second humble pie by saying that I won't be surprised if Tunisia qualify for the round of 16 and some of the West African countries rather drop out, and they tend to surprise Africa. But for me, I think that they shouldn't change anything. They should stick to their 4-2-3, 4-2-3-1, and whilst they are in possession of the ball, when they lose possession, a 4-3-3, very dynamic in approach, very rugged in the midfield and in defense as well. They shouldn't change anything. For me, Tunisia is good to go. The only bottleneck there would probably be when they come up against France, on the 30th of November.
Post the AFCON, only one team has scored a goal or has scored actually against Tunisia.
Which team is that?
Brazil. So post the AFCON, Tunisia have exuded some level of defensive solidity.
Yeah.
They've kept the back, and that is exactly what we saw today.
No,
But
that's
there is a disadvantage to it. Defensive wise, they are very good, but the question is they don't score.
Yep.
They hardly score. Even the qualifiers to the World Cup, the playoff,
Yeah.
They actually qualified by an own goal.
on goal, they don't score. And those who are supposed to score, you talk of Sassi, you talk of Kazri, they are now the elder statesmen. They come from the bench. Kazri did not even start. Sassi came on the 88th minute. So the good thing is that they will keep the clean sheet. The question is that if they meet Australia, who puts the ball at the back of the
But I
net?
think they will score. David makes reference to the fact that they have a coach who has worked with, knows the terrain of the Tunisian football.
Yeah, of course.
Has worked with
He's actually played with the Tunisian national
has
team
worked
before.
with most
Jalil
of the
Kadri.
players there. So I think that, like David says, that also helps or plays in favor of Tunisia because he knows this team inside out. He knows the strength of the team, the weaknesses of the team, and he's able to function out a very good tactic against Australia. I think that Tunisia will sail through.
Like I said, they would. I believe they would hardly concede. I still have a problem because they don't score. That is my problem.
They would have to find the back of
They
the
would
net.
have to.
Because honestly,
And those who score too, they'll start.
you look at the running. If, like you mentioned, if they manage to get the needed 3 points
Yeah.
against Australia,
That's it.
they are as good as qualifying because Denmark play France.
And
And,
that
either
that
way,
is a-
one
that's
of
a
the
damn
two
normal
sides
affair.
will drop points.
Definitely.
If it ends in a draw, hula for Tunisia, they are through. Even if it ends in a defeat for Denmark, they are still through. If only they do not, depend on the dynamics of the group, they do not concede a lot
Most of
when they
goals.
meet France. So it looks like, listen, this World Cup is a World Cup of first. We might have a lot of first. Don't be surprised if you have 2 or more African countries
And the
sailing
big giants also
sailing
dropping.
through to the round of 16.
But it's been a World Cup of first
Yeah.
so far. But one man is still seeking and knocking at the door to taste what it means like to
Robert
score
Lewandowski.
at the World Cup. Incredibly, he scored goals in the Champions League, scored goals in the Champions League finals, scored goals in the Euros. He's yet to find the back of the net at the World Cup.
For Robert Lewandowski, the funny thing is that it's not just the World Cup. He hardly shows up in major tournaments with the national team. Most of his goals he scored are for qualifiers. For qualifiers, he's excellent. But I don't know where that hoodoo comes from, because the last World Cup, he did everything he could, and he's just like Rooney. It's just like Rooney reincarnate. For everything Rooney did, his first Euros in 2004, he scored 4 goals. He was a prodigy. We were expecting him to be there. 2006 World Cup, there was no goal. 2010 World Cup, there was no goal. It was 2014 that he had a cross from Glenn Johnson and he scored one, and that was the end of Wayne Rooney. And the same thing is, and with the age of Lewandowski, this World Cup might be his last because he's over 30, around 30 to 33. So the World Cup is not over. I was really expecting that he really converts the penalty. When I was watching, there was somebody who was like, "You don't turn your back to the keeper when you are playing a penalty," which is, of course, a superstition. But funny enough, it worked. He turned his back to the goalkeeper before he played the penalty, and this is not a typical Robert Lewandowski penalty because it's like a Jorginho penalty. You get the direction, you'll be able to save it because there is very little power to it. He plays with the mind of the goalkeeper, and the goalkeeper was excellent. Oshua is an excellent goalkeeper. We know him.
Experience.
He
This is about his fourth World
yeah,
Cup
he's just like
with the Mexican team.
he's just like Enna Valencia and this player Vargas, Eduardo Vargas.
Literally.
These players are very bad at the club level.
But they turn up.
But
on
the
World Cup.
moment there is the World Cup, Eduardo Vargas, when he dons the jersey of Chile,
Add this guy.
He's the Maradona.
This guy.
Enna Valencia.
2006. This guy who played.
Carlos
For
Centenario,
Ghana, left back. What's his name?
Adequate
Adequate
Papa.
Papa.
Adequate Pablo. So you have Oshua, you have Enna Valencia. Nobody hears of him, of course. He's doing exploits in Fenerbahce, but he came to West Ham. He went to Everton. You didn't really hear much about him, but when he dons the national jersey of Ecuador and it's the World Cup, he's there. 2014, he was just doing exploit. And the same thing for Oshua. You remember when he met Brazil in 2014? People were even thinking he had 5 fingers on each of them. So you don't have to always say that, okay, Lewandowski didn't do what. The goalkeeper is very good.
But Percy, listen, this is my take on the Polish side. This is a team that has a lot of household names. Cracovia. Their names are a bit.
Kamel Glik,
There's Zelensky.
Pietro
in there.
Bielinski.
He was excellent in the middle of the
The
park this
starting
afternoon.
11 that they fielded today, quite ironically, 6 of them play in the Serie A.
Exactly.
It's quite unthinkable to find that a Polish team now has the majority. It tells you how their football has grown. Leap and bounds.
And that's why I'm saying that I'm a bit disappointed with the Polish team because they have enough quality to have put this game to bed. But I was a bit surprised the way the Mexicans play. Listen, if you didn't watch this game, maybe spend time and watch the game when there's a replay of it, or watch a lot about this Mexican team. Listen, they will trouble a lot of teams, and
Right.
I am beginning to worry for Argentina because if they play the way they played against Argentina, there's a lot of energy, a lot of pace, a lot of strength in this Mexican team. We know how Mexican teams are usually play. They are very stylish, compact, energy sapping. They are a very, very good side. And they actually, based on the numbers, they won everything good on the day. If you look at the stats, everything good on the day favored Mexico. It means they took the game to the Polish side. But we keep talking about Robert Lewandowski, and maybe our viewers may want to have a take on that. Is it true that he disappears in big games and he's not a big game player? Because people have been saying that.
Yes, and it's very
Champions
obvious.
League final, Champions
He
League,
doesn't score.
in big games,
No,
he doesn't score.
no.
This was an opportunity for
For
you
him
to
to
win
just
the
shut
game.
him
And I
out.
agree. Penalty kicks, can go anywhere. Even the best of the best, they miss
course.
penalty kicks. But you see, this is where you're called upon as a leader of the team.
Very good.
I was a bit disappointed because in a way he let his team down. The Mexicans played very, very well. And if Mexico had lost, it would have been, their undoing because why would you, literally hold Robert Lewandowski and pull him down? But
it's
it
become
was
a
a good
feature
game.
at this tournament.
Yeah.
The penalties that have come through.
Yeah, it came through. They said this. Yes.
The grappling, holding. Is it a case of we making a meal out of it, or the cameras are taking out the physical nature of the
no,
game?
no.
For me, this is what I think. If this incident had happened outside anywhere of the 18 yard, would that have been an infringement? Yes.
An infringement is an infringement.
Exactly.
Irrespective of where you
So
find it.
I always tell people that what is a penalty? A penalty is simply an
An
infringement
infringement in
inside
the
the
18 yard.
18-yard box. So if the referee would take this infringement out anywhere outside the 18-yard box, why wouldn't he take that infringement? Is it because it's a penalty? And for me, the cameras, the over 22 cameras that are stationed under the stadiums that have motion sensors have been designed with AI intelligence and picking up everything that is happening on the pitch. For me, it would eliminate all those minor incidences that players complain, because if you watch every single penalty incident, every single offside incident has not been contested in a very
No,
rowdy
no,
manner,
no.
because these players have been educated what
Oh.
is expected and what the cameras are doing. So if you are caught in the net, clearly then you know that, listen, I'm right. Look at the Argentine game. They never complain anytime the referee said, hey, it's an offside. They never complain. But you see, players are fond of that. The set tagging and all these
But
things.
football is a contact sport.
Eh, we know it's a contact sport, but
that's why it's an infringement.
even the beginning of the tournament, when Pierre-Luigi Collina was talking, this is a tournament they want to protect the players.
Exactly.
They want to give them the ability to express themselves. So the slightest of they don't want to, because this is the middle of the season, and unlike the previous World Cup that we are expecting that the World Cup is going to be maybe played, and after that there will be a lot of time. This time after that they will return to their respective clubs. So imagine you don't protect them, and they have already we are having injuries. So the little thing you do, it's not necessarily because it's a penalty, like he said. An infringement is an infringement, and they are there to protect these Lewandowskis and the Kanes and the Ronaldos and the Messis. So the least thing that happens, there was a warning that Colina actually gave. He actually gave it to the referees that this time around they are not really expecting them to make it like a Premiership game that go on and go on. They want to protect the players. So
Let me run by you this stat, and probably you may speak to the stat. At the total shots for both teams, Mexico had 11, Poland has 6. Big chances created, 1 for each. Big chances missed, 1 for each. Passing accuracy, Mexico 84%, Poland 71%. Offsides, Mexico 3, Poland 0. Corners, Mexico 6, Poland 5. Shots, Mexico 11, Poland 6. Shots on target, Mexico 4, Poland 2. Shots off target, Mexico 4, Poland 3. Shots that were blocked, Mexico 3, Poland 1. Shots inside the box, Mexico 7, Poland 5. Shots from outside the box, Mexico 4, Poland 1. Like I told you, every positive thing that happened in the game favored Mexico. They attacked, they had the most shots on target. It means the numbers do not lie. The stats indicate
Mexico
that Mexico
practically
took the game to Poland, and they dominated the game. The sad thing is that they couldn't win. For most Argentine fans, it favors them because, hey, we are not too far off the pack. The one that's leading. Wow, I'm looking at the table, and Saudi Arabia, Mexico, Poland, Argentina.
it's like 10 upside down. It's like
It was the last
reverse.
thing you would have ever thought
It's
of.
the reverse. It's the reverse.
To ever think that you would watch the group table and think, oh my God, Saudi Arabia at the
Arabia.
top. But France come up against Australia, and you know, France campaign has been muddied with a lot of injuries.
Yeah.
But I don't want to be too superstitious. But I also love when facts and history align.
Of course.
Exactly.
Let's go back to 1998. France won the World Cup.
Yeah.
And then in 2002, came to the tournament as
They were
defending
booted out.
champions. They were booted out.
In the first round.
Prior to they being booted out, you know what happened to France? They lost a number of key players. There
Yeah.
was Robert Perez, who got
Yeah.
injured prior to
That's
the
true.
start of the
That's true.
tournament.
Zidane also didn't.
Zinedine Zidane
Yeah,
also got
exactly.
injured and had to be forced to be played. 2022, they go into the tournament as champions,
Similar
defending
scenario.
champions. And what have we seen? Injuries plaguing key players, and Benzema is out.
Yeah.
We've seen a
Paul
number of
Pogba is out.
Paul Pogba, N'Golo
N'Golo
Kante.
Kante.
The list is endless.
Christopher Nkoku, just recently, Karim
Benzema and all of
yeah.
that. Are we having lightning strike
Um,
twice?
This is the curse of the defending
the
champion.
lineup is out. So there's Hugo Lloris in goal. There's Benjamin Pavard at right back. There's Canute. There's Upamecano. There's Theo Hernandez. There's Chouameni and Adrien Rabiot as the two holding midfielders, the double pivot. So it's a 4-2-3-1 formation. Then there's Ousmane Dembele Antoine Griezmann, Kylian Mbappe as the three wide men who will be behind Olivier Giroud. Dembele will be playing out from the right, whilst Kylian Mbappe will be playing out from the left, hoping that they will cut in and try to disrupt the Australian defense. I think that for me, this is about the best lineup they could put up, especially with the absence of some of the key players. If Karim Benzema had gone for this tournament, clearly he would have taken the place of Olivier Giroud. If N'Golo Kante, if Paul Pogba had gone for this tournament, they would have taken the place of the two players in Tchouaméni and Adrien Rabiot. We saw the partnership that Paul Pogba and N'Golo Kante developed in that 2018 World Cup. I do not know. I was thinking that Didier Deschamps would take the risk of playing Kamavinga and Tchouaméni because of they having played together for their respective clubs in Real Madrid. They know themselves. There is a partnership. There is that telepathy. But he has decided to go for form because, truth be told, the renaissance of Juventus in the Serie A is solely down to the brilliance of Adrien Rabiot. If you've watched Rabiot this season in the last 7 games for Juventus, he's been excellent. He's been scoring goals for fans. So I think that on the basis of going in for form, because Adrien Rabiot is in a much better form than Kamavinga. So he's looking at, somebody who shield the back four in Tchouaméni, whilst Adrien Rabiot probably does a bit more of that attacking and the protection, all of that. For me, it's an excellent squad starting 11. I don't know about you.
But you spoken at length. The third element, you failed to hit on it.
Who?
Injuries.
Of course.
Defending champions.
Oh no! I don't think we are going to see a repeat of what happened to France in 2002. Listen, I look at the dynamics of the group. France will beat Australia. France will beat Mexico. France will beat Poland. I think that France will get, maximum 9 points. The quality in this French team. Look at the players on the bench. There's Kamavinga. There's Raphael Varane. There's Jules Koundé. There's William Saliba. There's Rafael Hernandez. Listen. There's enough quality in this
remind you of what happened to
David.
Well, don't talk about Argentina. But I think that this French side will pick up their first 3 points and they'll be good to go.
On the other hand, me, tactics is good, but I will never take away the historical side of it, and I will never take the superstition. Listen, I always say that football is played beyond the field.
African. So
it's not about being an African. It's not about being an African. The squad they had in 2002, you can't bring the squad close.
Oh, that squad had played together from
1998. And I'm trying to say that even that squad, that was so solid that even with the absence of Zinedine Zidane, there was Thierry Henry, there was Lilian Thuram, there was Patrick Vieira. None of this French national team. I always say that this current French national team, if I take them back to 2002, I don't know who will start.
They were handled by, Michel, but they are handled by somebody who's won the World Cup.
I get you. I am trying to say that it's not just with France. Since it is only Brazil that after winning it in 1994 was also able to go into 1998.
They should have won that final.
After Brazil going to the final again in 2002, you can talk about Italy and the disgraceful thing they did. They had Vitek being the world best against them of Slovakia in 2014 World Cup. You know what happened to the South Africa, what do you call it, the Spanish national team?
So you think the defending champion curse will happen again?
The curse is still on unless we have the Africans in the team to oust and to be able to do some things.
Viewers,
yes,
he is a superstitious man amongst us.
Because football,
I deal with numbers. David deals with numbers.
Football is. But on a more serious note, everything is just tumbling, and they've not really lost the core of the team because Benzema was just a part player. He just came in, and the core of the team
is still there.
An unsung hero in Griezmann is still around.
He's still there.
Pavard, Lucas Hernandez are still there.
There's Kylian Mbappe.
He's still there. The only thing is the defensive pairing. That is, they used to have Umtiti and Varane, but now
there's Kanute and Upamecano. Pavard is there, Hernandez
very
is there.
Good. So, you still have Varane there. If anything, it can come in.
That's true.
And Tchouaméni is on form.
Yeah.
It's like Tchouaméni is just like N'Golo Kante in 2018. So you can't take that away from him.
That's true.
The only bit, of course, you can talk about Rabiot. Paul Pogba did not play above himself in 2018. I don't know why we are really making.
But he was
He was
brilliant.
very good.
Brilliant.
But for everything, I would always say the core
His-
of the 2018
His goals were
Still
crucial
is-
to them lifting
yes.
the tournament.
the core was their two. That's their 2 and the 3. Pavard and Lucas. We actually thought that it was Jibril Sidibe who would start from number
starts,
2.
that's true.
And funny enough, we had Pavard starting. And even with the left back, we were not even expecting Lucas Hernandez to start. But
So
but
that
funny-
French team was more of
It was
an
a surpri-
effective unit.
an effective
An
unit.
effective unit.
And
This-
nobody even talked about Blaise Matuidi.
Exactly. This is a collection of players who are on form.
On form,
or
yes.
in form.
Yeah.
They are not so much of a unit because of the injuries that have happened.
But
to
the
it.
core is still
But
there.
The core is still there.
core
But
is
my
still there.
problem is, listen, the engine of every team is the midfield. If the midfield breaks down, because Adrien Rabiot is supposed to be the link man between the midfield
And the
attack. The 3 men behind Olivier Giroud should be able to create that link between, because Adrien Rabiot is that progressor in the team. Tchouameni is not a progressor. He breaks play. He does what Toni Kroos does and all of that. Adrien Rabiot is that progressor, the guy who can carry the ball, create spaces
Yeah.
in there. If they are not able to do that, it will affect the French team because Ousmane Dembele relies on supply.
Yeah.
Kylian Mbappe relies on supply. Likewise, Antoine Griezmann relies on supply, and we know Olivier Giroud. He will be a non-entity if the balls do not come through. So the balls have to be coming through from the middle of the park. That's why I keep
And there's no
insisting that.
Pogba to be giving
Give those passes. That's what I'm saying, that
decisive
it's so
passes.
crucial. His absence will be key to whatever.
Else there will be a
France
bridge
do.
between the attack and the defense.
That's true.
But let's see how it goes. I'm rooting for Australia, just basically because
You call me the superstitious person here.
I love the underdog story. But
Viewers, David and his antics. Why would you? He tipped Denmark to win this. And Denmark, Dave.
I said
And you are here rooting for Australia.
I love the underdog story. Let's see how it pans out. But just before we go, let's look ahead to tomorrow. Africa is on the map again. Morocco play against World Cup finalist Croatia. That should be one.
That should be an interesting one. When we did our preview of the African teams, we didn't give Morocco and Tunisia a dog chance to make it out of the group. But I'm beginning to rewrite my script. I'm not shy to take back or eat humble pie or take back my words. I've seen what Senegal have done. They were brilliant, barring Mendy, letting them down.
Why are you talking about Mendy?
Yeah, anywhere I see him, I'll mention his name. I saw Tunisia play excellent this afternoon. Did not allow the Danish side to overrun them and all of that. I'm hoping that Morocco will do likewise, because Morocco have a very, very good team with some, equally very, very good players. They should have it at the back of their mind. Like I keep saying, the gap has been bridged between quality on the African continent and quality in Europe. We are now there. It's all about that mental vulnerability, mental block, and the coaching. If they're able to sail through that, I'm expecting that Morocco can, either surprise Croatia or pick Africa's next point.
Morocco win.
I'm not expecting Croatia to go through that fairy tale again, because this is a Moroccan team that is full of young players. But the Croatian team, elder statesmen, about 8. So this is more like the last dance is actually Croatia. From Modric, who is 37, all through to...
It's
in
an
fact,
aging team.
you have 5 of their first 11, all 35. Kramaric, Perisic, and all his likes, they are all aging. So if the Moroccans can take the game to them in full intensity, I think I will side. They might not win, but a win for Croatia would be very difficult for them.
Germany were undone by South Korea in 2018.
Yeah.
They sent them packing. They start off again against an Asian side. Quickly, Germany, Japan, your predictions.
German machine is very obsolete.
This German
now.
side is a very young
obsolete.
side, very, very young side, and it's more or less the German team is in transition now. They've departed from 2006, 2014, 2018. This
They are
team
done.
is
A
practically
new one.
Yes, they have some old guys in there.
But we are not
Mario
expecting
Götze.
anything.
No,
No.
a lot of people, even the bookmakers, are not tipping Germany.
But they will
because
progress. But that's
they will go through this. I feel that they will go through this group with together with Spain. But I think that, listen, the Germans are a very good side. But this is a team that is also in transition. I'm not expecting them to blow our minds this World Cup. If it happens, great. I will not stick my neck out, because this World Cup has proven that, listen,
Anything
every
is possible.
single day, anything is possible. But we are shooting from Red Mango's apartment, hotel and apartment in Takrady. If want the best in terms of luxury and fun, this is where to be. Amazing scenery,
And
Dave.
amazing scenery. We're shooting today just beside the pool.
Yeah.
And it's a lovely view. Unfortunately, I can't get to enjoy it just like you guys. But there's Spain versus Costa Rica. There's Belgium versus Canada. Let's start with Belgium versus Canada. Belgium consistently hyped,
Perennial underachievers.
elevated, but turn up and then
I don't want anybody to give them that tag perennial underachiever, because I think at certain points they would break. Whoa, Australia just scored. So Australia are up by a goal to
so
zero.
you see
This
the
are,
underdog story
this
is
is David. You let me. Let's
I
not go
told
there.
you were talking about
Australia
tactics.
just scored. Australia just scored. The underdog story is ongoing,
I'm a
but
big fan of the underdog story.
very very surprised. Australia are up by a goal to zero. And France, whoa, what is happening to France? So for
Nothing is
those
happening.
Simply,
It's
let's
just
explain it as a
universe is
defending,
just playing out.
the
We
defending
told you.
champions
so
case is
for,
continuing.
for those who the goal was scored by Godwin in the ninth minute. So for those maybe who are not home and are monitoring our live transmission, Australia are up by a goal to nil in the 10th minute. Very 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 surprising. And wow, I told you this World Cup, it will be full of. I mean, there'll be a lot of storylines and plots for journalists and for us to munch on. It's going to be one of the best World Cups we've witnessed.
Will Canada do what Australia would do to Belgium?
Now I'm beginning to
No,
think
that's
that
reality.
I'm beginning to think
That's
that
trying to
listen,
be realistic and
but I think that
pragmatic.
the Belgian team is a solid team.
They've always been solid.
It's a last
Since
opportunity
20
for a number of the key players to ever win a trophy.
Lukaku, Kevin De Bruyne,
Eden
Witzel,
Hazard,
Telemann,
Jan Vertonghen,
name them. Eden
Toby
Hazard.
Alderweireld,
Tobias Alderweireld, and all of
Thibaut
that.
Courtois himself.
The names are, there's a plethora of superstars in this Belgium team, but can they be able to translate that superstardom onto the pitch and get the result? What happened to Spain? There was a reason that they were tagged as perennial underachiever because Gasca Mendieta, name them, Fernando
Raul.
Hierro, Rodondo. They were a bunch of superstars. They were a bunch of great players, but they didn't have a team. They didn't have a style of play. There's one thing that characterizes the World Cup and major tournaments like this. You need to have an identity. Spain never had an identity, but immediately they found an identity under Vicente Del Bosque and Luis Aragones. They translated that dominance from 2008, 2010, 2012. What is left with this Belgium team is for them to find an identity, define the style of play based on the quality they have, and they are good to go because nobody can tell me Eden Hazard, though he's had issues at Real Madrid, is a bad player.
He's actually played more for Belgium
Exactly.
than
Look at Lukaku. Look at Telemann. Look at Kevin De Bruyne. The stars are there. They need to define an identity around these players, and I think that they are good to go.
For
But
Belgium,
I
I
do
think
not
it's
think
the
that.
coach.
I do not think
for
that.
Belgium. I've always stood by this that it's the coach who is not good.
Are you one of those people? who
No,
have been saying that
starting
sort?
from McCormott, who took them. McCormott was actually their captain in 2002,
Yeah.
scoring some bicycle kicks over there. And they brought in Roberto Martin. I don't really know what this guy is doing. He sometimes plays Carrasco as a right wing back, sometimes as a left wing back. He alters so many. You see, he's been blessed. Over the past about 6-7 years that he's been at post,
Yeah.
Belgium had always had a factory of producing from the time that he had Fellaini, and it's like they left and they had a player like Telemans coming in,
Yeah.
and Salamakis and the rest coming in. So they lose players, more players coming. But yeah, I don't really know what he does with the team. It's like, it's the mentality. Like we talked about coaching. I don't want to compare what he does, but like 2018, meeting Brazil, the only reason why they were able to lose in the semi-final was a mentality. Because you win against Brazil, that beautiful goal by Kevin De Bruyne, and they get to the semi-final. You were expecting them to beat France. But what happens? The same thing, that blockade, like you were saying. So when they had Spain, when they had a coach in the steps of
Aragones.
Aragones had tasted defeat in the final with Atletico Madrid versus Bayern Munich.
But he's a very good coach.
So he had been in the transition. He had been, and you take someone like Martinez, you can't really pinpoint what he's won as a player and as a coach. He was just with a team
But Dave, does that matter?
it really matters because you talked of Deschamps. There is a coach that has played with Marseille and has won the Champions
You
League.
are the underdog man. Does that matter? whether a coach has won on the biggest of stage.
It
For
really
me, I
matters.
think that it matters. I mean, the only
Not
time it
only as a
matters
player, though.
is it gives you a certain level of confidence and belief.
Confidence is what they
Aside
need.
that, I
But
think that
I think
uh-huh.
what it adds to you as a coach is that when you walk into that dressing room to speak, you earn a level of respect.
That's all.
No, because not just in as much as it may look quite simple, it's of huge currency. Because let me borrow a quote from Sir Alex Ferguson's autobiography. He makes it clear when a coach loses his job when he loses the dressing room, not when he is fired. So when you lose the dressing room, you've lost it.
So whether a coach has, you believe that a coach winning something matters a lot in football.
Probably
it,
you
it gives
didn't
you
get
that
me.
voice in the dressing room. It
Yes,
gives
I
you
wasn't necessarily saying
that
that
platform to build onto something.
the coach has won a lot as a player.
But I'm talking
at least-
about as a coach himself.
Yes,
Yeah.
I can give you a lot of them. You see, the coach, you can even start from 1990. From 1990, the Franz Beckenbauer, who has won the World Cup himself. And in 1994, you talk of Carlos Alberto.
Yeah. Pereira.
Yes, winning the what you call it,
For
the
Brazil.
World Cup. You talk of 1998, Jackie Eme. You talk of 2002, you bring Felipe Scolari,
Yeah.
a winner. 2006, you talk of you talk of the Italian coach who also won. He has also won something with a club team before.
But you know, to help your argument or to diffuse that, Felipe Scolari had won with Brazil in 2002.
Yes,
He took them in 2014, and they were, for me, they were abysmal.
but before that, he had also taken Portugal. He had also taken Portugal.
What did they win?
I'm trying.
They didn't win
no,
anything with
I was
Portugal.
I was trying to say that a coach that takes a team that already has the talent,
Yeah.
or that has a generation that are doing well, you need for them to go to the next level. You don't just need any coach.
Viewers,
You need a coach that has at least done it
this
before. or has
probably,
seen it
this
before.
probably, we will need your. Do you think what a coach has won personally, in terms of not as a player but as a coach, matters in the dressing room?
It
I
does.
think that is not so much of what the coach
I
has
think it
won.
does.
If he's a good coach, he's a good coach. Pep Guardiola had not won anything in his life in terms of as a coach.
Yeah.
He walks into that Barcelona team and totally transforms that
That is
Barcelona
one
team.
of-
And now
that's one of-
nobody cares about.
But anyway,
Yeah.
the France-Australia game is still going. And the goal was scored by Craig Gordon,
Godwin.
who is a 30-year-old guy. And guess what? He plays in the Australian A-League.
For you believe in the underdog, so I don't say anything.
He plays in the Australian A-League. This is his first ever goal at the World Cup.
Just
He's
like
actually-
New Zealand having a team that, in fact, one player doesn't even have a club and he works in a bank.
Dave, ironically, if you look at so far, 16 minutes played, Australia have 2 shots, just one on target. France have 2 shots, not a single shot on target.
Misfiring.
Clearly, the Australian defense is strong, has been resolute so far, but some say it's just 16 minutes. The quality in the French team, they can unlock and undo you even with 5 minutes to go.
So guys, that's the end of today's broadcast. We'll be back again tomorrow around the same time, and we are shooting here at the Red Mango Hotel and Apartment in Takra, the western region of Ghana. It's your ideal vacation location.
Yep.
And do make it a point to join us this World Cup season here on Sports 101. Follow us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, follow us on Instagram, and it's the best place. You need all the information during this World Cup season.